go live. Let's see here.
Unlike in his first term, Donald Trump's cabinet in his second term has been a model of stability. It's been an entire year, and he hasn't fired a single hit.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's undo that. We'll put this up here. That way I've got my alternate TikTok channel going because I have to have an alternate. And the reason I've got to have an alternate is pretty obvious, I think. It's due to the fact that, they kick me off all the time. So let's find out if
life is better
when I'm allowed to go back on, shall we? Live. I'm allowed to go live at 2010. Okay, so about an hour from now, I'm allowed to go live again. But until then, I can be on my backup channel, and I can be over here live on YouTube that lets me say things that are important to say. Interesting. Not allowed to say anything that's important on TikTok anymore because they'll kick you off. But that's okay. We expect that. We expect to get kicked off of TikTok all the time. Well, let's kick this off properly, shall we? There's something wrong with the counter on this TikTok channel. Because no matter how many people come here, it always shows 0 people. That's very strange. And I see I've got a couple people here, one person on my YouTube. This is not a lot of people. Certainly not the most I've ever had. But it's better than nothing. Now I have one person on each channel. Oh, I got 4 people on here. That's outstanding. Okay. You guys weigh in on anything if you want. Obviously, the war in Iran is going exactly as planned. It's getting bogged down. It's taking much longer than they said. And we could be bombing Iran for a long time, which is actually the real plan. The real plan was never get in there, do our thing, and get out. That was never the plan. That's never the plan with war. That's never the War Department's plan. Because the War Department works for the people. And when I say the people, I mean the people who run all of the big military industrial complex companies. And of course, those people want this Iran war to go on forever. Forever wars. Now, here's my question for you Gen Z fuckers. Did you really think that you were going to grow up without a war? Did you think that we were going to do that to you? I mean, come on. That's not going to happen. Look, I grew up in Generation X, and we didn't really have a good war for a long time, like in the 70s. I mean, come on. Nicaragua, El Salvador, what kind of pussy shit is that? So then in the 80s, we had El Salvador and Nicaragua still. But what else did we have? Not much. It's boring. It's fucking boring. We invaded Grenada, whatever. We invaded a country the size of my backyard. Well, I can tell you this. I know for a fact, because I remember when it happened, thinking, what a douchebag. But I remember John McCain in front of a bunch of his people. When I say his people that were paying $1,000 a plate for a private dinner so they could rub elbows with him. And anyway, I remember him getting on stage and singing a Beach Boys song that had been slightly modified from Barbara Ann to bomb, 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 Iran. And he laughed, and all of his people laughed. And I thought, that's not fucking funny. I don't find that funny at all. This was 2008. We'd already been at war for half a decade. We'd been at war in Afghanistan and Iraq for 5 years. And I was like, man, that's a long time. If I'd known then what I know now, Jesus. Whew. I would have bought Bitcoin at 10 cents. But that's not the point. And I would have sold it at 110. Anyway, not really questioning. It says here that I'm questioning the long-term plan. There's no question what the long-term plan is. The long-term plan's obvious because there's only going to be one winner of this war. And who do you guys think that might be? Who do you think's going to win this war? Just throw it out there. Just go ahead and take a wild guess. Because I'm pretty sure I know. John Locke. It's a cool name. If there was an E on the end, I'd say thank you for the economic advice. John Locke. Anyway, it's a nerd joke. It's an econ nerd joke. I get it. It's worse than a dad joke. Anyway. All right. None of you want to say it out loud? I'll say it. Israel. What? How do we win? How the hell do we win? How do we win a fight with Iran? Oh, because that nuke that they're going to build, that they've been building since 1992. 1992. We actually have real live footage when he actually said it of Netanyahu starting in 1996 saying that they were just weeks away from a bomb. Now, they were weeks away in 1996, 98, 2000, 2002, 2006, 2008, 2012. I'm just not sure that Iranians understand what weeks are. Because if they told somebody that they were 3 weeks away in 1996, I mean, I knew the Muslim calendar and the Jewish calendar and the Chinese calendar and our calendar, the Gregorian calendar are all different. But damn, those are some long ass weeks. So I think that Israel's definitely going to win this war. Now, do I think they're going to get pounded? Yes. Do I think that they're going to have false flag operations all around the world starting right now? Yes. I think that things are going to start blowing up all around the world. And of course, if you do a lot of homework, which nobody would be allowed to do, you'll find out that it's Israel. And, you know, it's a biblical thing that people talk about all the time. It's the greatest trick that Satan ever did was to convince people that he wasn't real, but he is real. Yep, he is real. Definitely Israel. And that's the problem, is that, you know, when people say Antichrist, this is a weird thing. Think about this for a second. If I say Antichrist, you go, oh, that's the worst. But if you have a country and the country is literally forcing everyone out of the country that doesn't agree with a religion that says Christ is burning in excrement and he's a false prophet, that smells like they are very anti-Christ. But I'm not allowed to say Antichrist because the implication is that if you're Antichrist, you're very bad. Can somebody help me with this? Because I don't understand how this is supposed to work. I mean, clearly, just look. They say that Christ is a false prophet. He's full of crap. He's not real. And they say that the people who worship him are worse than dogs. We're not even as good as good enough to be called humans. So just not sure how this whole thing works, man. I'm really kind of flummoxed by the idea that we are fighting for a group of people who hate us. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there are people out there who are Christians and they say that they love Israel. I just don't get why. Why would you say that? If they hate you, why do you love them? I mean, don't get me wrong. Christ said, love thy neighbor, turn the other cheek, all that stuff. But at some point, I think there was something in there about dusting off your sandals and moving on. Because if somebody's treating you like shit nonstop and they're using you and abusing you and they deny Christ and they say that he was a false prophet, black magic and all that stuff, don't you at some point just go, okay, you know what? We can be friends, but I'm not sending people to go die for you. No, not going to happen. Is that outrageous to think that that should be kind of the way that it is? It's like, hey, man, they've stolen the identity. Who? They? That's the question. Who? Who's, some people are like, oh, it's the Khazarians, and it's not the Jewish people. And it's like, well, no, read the Bible. Read the Torah and read the Talmud. The Talmud's very clear. Christ is a piece of crap, and they think that he's horrible and that he's burning in a lake of excrement. That's the traditional Jewish stance on Christians, is we're terrible. So what the hell, man? Look, I don't wish any ill will towards Iran or Israel. I just think, look, Israel, you got a problem with Iran, go fucking. It's like, okay, boys, take it out in the alley. Go duke it out if that's really what you want. And of course, that's not what Iran is saying. Iran's saying, hey, let's talk because we don't want nukes. And that's what it seems like. Now, maybe I'm just being naive. Maybe they do want nukes, but they don't have them. And that's one of the reasons that we're blowing them up. They counterfeit the seed of the woman and enmity between the two seeds of Genesis. Whoa. Not sure what the hell that meant, but I don't read Genesis because it's not my book. I'm actually Christian, and Christians have this other book that was written just for us. And in this book that was written just for us by this guy named Jesus, it basically says that the other book is full of crap. It says that the other book is full of the synagogue of Satan, and that the people in that other book are not going to do well, and that the temple will be completely destroyed within a lifetime of him coming and delivering the real message. And then they killed him, and now we're defending their country and trying to help them build the third temple. That's just dumb. Well, not only is it dumb, okay, let's be honest, it's dumb, but on top of that, we're going to have a lot of Americans killed. Not all are Demic. No, I don't care. I don't care. See, that's the beautiful part about having a clear mind is it's like, no, you look, if you have a Talmud, which is their holy guidance book, many books actually, And in your book, it says that I'm not a human and that I'm a bad, I'm not as good as a dog, and that you wouldn't eat with me, then we're done. That's all. We're done. I'm not going to be angry at you, but if you say that I am not human because I'm a goyim and Gentile or whatever you want to call me, but you decide that I'm not as good as you are, then we pretty much don't have anything to talk about. Go do your thing, go have fun, enjoy your little slice of the universe. Don't ask me for help with anything, by the way, because if you think that I am not human and that God put me on this earth to serve you, then we got nothing to talk about. It's about character. I have no idea what you're babbling about, buddy. Didn't Texas send Red Bulls to Israel? Not the entire state of Texas, just some complete asshole in Texas, like a complete insane idiot in Texas who thinks he's going to make the Bible come true and pop out. And all of a sudden, the whole New Testament is going to be bullshit. And it's just Old Testament stuff. Behavioral collective basis. It seems like every time you say something, it gets weirder and more sort of eclectic and odd and hard to understand what you mean. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, if you're just trying to be esoteric or what your deal is, but we have lots of idiots here in Texas. Texas is a great country, but yeah, there's a lot of idiots everywhere. That's the bottom line. If the average IQ in the United States is 98, which it is, then that means that half the people in the United States are below that. Now, are those bad people? No, they're awesome. What are Red Bulls? Well, there's Red Bulls, which you drink, which give you wings or whatever. They taste like shit. But and then there are red heifers. And red heifers they're supposed to be a heifer that has no physical marks on it. It's a perfect heifer. And then you're supposed to slaughter it as a sacrifice to God. Because remember that these people that we're helping over there still do sacrifice, which is why when people say human sacrifice, are you out of your mind? Nobody does human sacrifice. It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, clearly it's part of their history. I mean, that's the whole thing about Moloch is they sacrificed their children as a way to show how much they loved God. Because the ultimate thing you can do to show your love is, kill your own kid. We are run by pedos. Now, that's one thing that you've said that everybody can agree with. And it's very simple, very straightforward. Yes. The peds have it. America is totally out of control. Yes. Red Bull, the drink, is awesome. I like the caffeine. Don't get me wrong. I do like the caffeine. Not real fond of the flavor, though. The United States is out of control. It's not the United States of America anymore. The United States should have a bunch of states that are united. We have a bunch of states that have been subjugated by the federal government through, the most obvious means possible, which is bribery. You tell the states, hey, look, we're thinking about having a big military base. Well, AIPAC is most helpful when it comes to bribing the federal government. But when it comes to bribing state governments, that's when the feds step in. They go, we're going to open a big Air Force base right up there in the middle of bumfuck Idaho. But we'd really like your help with this. And so basically, they have all of the states just suckling away on the teat of the federal government, and they have no independence anymore. Now, is there something about states' rights in the Constitution? Yes. Yes, states' rights are very important. They debated for many, 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 many hours, days, weeks, months over who should get control of what because they wanted to make sure that the states weren't too strong, but at the same time you can't have the federal government become too strong because then it becomes tyranny, and then they set the tone and they whatever they say goes. Sound familiar? So the debate raged for months and months and months over this, and they finally came to what they considered a pretty good, pretty fair conclusion. Since then, money has purchased states' rights back, and now the federal government's in charge of everything. Federal law means nothing. The federal law doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't always supersede state law. Um, well, political Zionism is definitely one of the metastasized cancerous organisms, but there's several. The bottom line is this: states' rights are gone now, pretty much. And I'm going to read something to you guys. This is something that is really important. Um, I'll tell you what this is after I read a little bit of it, but I just want you to hear this first. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas they are not only different, but have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restraining our vices. One encourages intercourse, the other creates distinctions. The first, a patron, the last, a punisher. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer or are exposed to the same miseries by a government, which we might expect in a country without a government, our calamity is heightened by reflecting that we furnish the means by which we suffer. Government, like dress, is a badge of lost innocence. The palaces of kings are built on the ruins of the bowers of paradise. For where the impulses of conscience clear, uniform, for were the impulses of conscience clear, uniform, and irresistibly obeyed, man would need no other lawgiver. But that not being the case, he finds it necessary to surrender up a part of his property to furnish means for the protection of the rest of his property. And this he is induced to do by the same prudence which in every other case advises him out of two evils to choose the least. Wherefore, security, being the true design and end of government, it unanswerably follows that whatever form thereof appears most likely to ensure it to us with the least expense and greatest benefit is preferable to all others. Huh. Well, son of a bitch, guys. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? What I just okay, well, you just disagreed with Common Sense by Thomas Paine. And by the way, you're wrong. Governments are not based on greed. Governments are based on security. Because if you didn't have a government, whoever has the biggest, strongest gang gets to take whatever they want from whoever they want. That's it. It's that simple. there is no such thing as anarchy. Anarchy and the big symbol of anarchy and the big, I'm Generation X. I thought anarchy was cool. And I had a big circle with an A and cross through it. And it's like, oh yeah, anarchy. And then somebody much wiser than me said, anarchy is completely insane, right? And I said, why is anarchy insane? And they said, because nature abhors a vacuum, and whoever the strongest, most militant leader is, that's who's going to take over as soon as anarchy happens. Like there'll be anarchy and total mayhem and chaos for a very short time until somebody puts together a group of really tough, nasty motherfuckers who then sweep through the area and say, you're going to do it our way, or we'll dispense of you. So societies are a blessing. Societies, we come together and we want to do stuff together and design stuff and make stuff and build stuff. Governments are because no matter how good the people of an area are, there's always bad guys. Now, are there places where they're worse than others? Yeah, absolutely. Look at the Middle East. The Arab countries have the rules that they have for a reason. Steal a loaf of bread, they cut your hand off with a sword at the wrist. That's it. Done. Steal another loaf of bread, they cut your other hand off. Period. Do something that's a death sentence, they just pull your pants down. And if you have gone through puberty, and it's obvious by looking at you that you've gone through puberty, they kill you. If you still don't have the proper equipment down there yet, then they let you go because you're just a child. That's it. So can many governors override the federal government? Absolutely. Yes, they can. They can simply say no to the government for whatever it requires and literally just block whatever. I mean, there are certain things that they have to do, but for the most part, no. That's greed. Uh-huh. Okay. And so what about lust? That's a big problem too. So I think what Thomas Paine said is probably the most succinct way of putting it. But if you want to really dig your heels in and argue with Thomas Paine about the little 47-page pamphlet that he wrote that started the revolution that led to the country that you live in, it's a free country. Go ahead, argue away. So that's an interesting little tidbit right there. Here's one that I I really like. Wait a minute, where is it? It is here. Huh. Okay. Here's one. This is interesting. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume, among the powers of the earth, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Fair enough. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That, to secure these rights, Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Interesting. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes, and that accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity by which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. Why am I reading that? Well, it seems to me that when you vote for something, and that when you are promised that thing, absolutely promised that thing, that they would do, once that happens, and it turns out that it's completely false, that literally nothing that they said was true, at that point, it's time. Now, do I bring this up because I hate Trump? No. No, I'm beyond all that. I'm beyond hating Democrats and hating Republicans and loving Democrats or loving Republicans. There are certain individuals inside our government that I see, that I trust, that I believe, that seem to do the right thing even when nobody appears to be looking, when it's not in their best interest politically to do the right thing, and they do it anyway. There are those examples. But overall, what I see is that our entire system and all of the people in it are completely and utterly corrupted. There's no saving the patient. The body politic is dying. It's the greed and avarice and absolute insanity has metastasized. It's the entire body is dying. There's so much corruption, and there's so much greed, and there's so much selfishness, and there's so little pride, and so little objectiveness left, that I remember being in the Marine Corps, and I remember that they would say at the end of doing 20 push-ups, I want you to do 3 more. One for God, country, and Corps. And I thought to myself at the time, when I did the extra 3, just so I wouldn't get in trouble, fuck that. God, country, and Corps. I didn't join the fucking Marine Corps to kill bad guys for God. I joined the Marine Corps to serve my country. first. And at the time, of course, having no interest in being a Christian, I only had an interest in my country. Marines serve their country first. If you don't want to serve your country first, don't join the Marine Corps. Marines kill people for a living. You want to be in the Army? You want to be in the Navy, Air Force? Great. But you better not put God ahead of your country. What does that mean? Well, you tell me what it means. You tell me what it means. If you're Jewish. Well, if you're Jewish, well, the United States doesn't mean shit to you. Doesn't mean a goddamn thing to you. If you're serving your God, you're serving Israel, period. So when I tell you to do 3 more push-ups, God, country, and core, and you put God above country, you're putting Israel above the United States by default. If you're Muslim and I say God, country, and core, then you're serving Allah first, then the United States, and then the Marine Corps. That's not okay. If you're a Marine, you're a Marine. Period. You serve the United States of America. That's it. This idea of the separation of church and state is more important now than it ever has been, because the idiots who have taken us to war are doing so that we can bring about the end of the world. Now, I don't know about you, but I have kids and I don't want the end of the world right now. Well, truth is an interesting thing, because in the last 100 years, we have traded principles for personalities. Men of principle, they don't get very far. Men with a lot of personality, influencers, they become Secretary of War. They become the Department of Homeland Security chief, Kristi Noem. $200 million to make videos of her riding around on a horse with a cowboy hat. $221 million riding around being a cowgirl. Are you shitting me? That's what our tax money is going to? Worse, it's going to Israel, a country that already has free medical for all their civilians. All their citizens get free medical. They also get free university. We don't, but we're going to send them billions and billions of dollars. Now it looks like, what did we bump it up from 25 to 50 years? We're going to give them billions of dollars a year. Why? Why are we doing that? Now, if Jewish businessmen are so unbelievably smart, and read the Epstein files. Read the Epstein files. They brag about the fact that they are way smarter than us Goyim. Gentiles are idiots compared to them. So, if they're so damn smart, why do we have to support them? Why do they have to live off of us? Like, look, guys, you own all the banks. You're the big badasses in Hollywood. You're the ones with all the clout. You run all the insurance companies. You got every usury scam known to man going. You can't support your own little country with 7 million people there? What do they produce? Chaos. Chaos and usury. That's it. Chaos and usury, baby. And this is the interesting thing. You think, well, come on, man. That can't be it. But here's the strange part. There's 15 million Jews in the world. And yet we are getting into World War III because of them. 330 million Americans, right? 92 million Iranians. Now we're way up over 400 million people. So right there, we're pushing a half a bill, right? 500 million people have just started World War III for 15 million people. And let's be honest, are all Jews hardcore Zionist or hardcore, but more than Zionist, hardcore Haredi, ultra conservative? No, they're not ultra Orthodox Jews. As a matter of fact, a lot of Jews are about as Jewish as my German Shepherd. They're not Jewish at all. Yes, they were born Jewish. Okay, they went through a bat mitzvah or a bar mitzvah or whatever. But do they study the Talmud? Nope. They have no idea what that shit says. They don't have any idea how disgusting some of the language in that book is. Do they think that it's okay to have 15 kids and live off of welfare in the United States? No, not at all. They want a job. They want to work. They're just normal people, just like everybody else. Unfortunately for them, there's this tiny little group of people in the Middle East. They run Israel and apparently the United States of America. And they're called Haredis. And they wear funky little door cats, and they have their little curls because it says in Leviticus that if you cut your hair, you've got to be put to death. Now, if that doesn't beg the question, what's your IQ? I don't know what does. Like, really? It says that you can't cut the hair on your temples. You're not taking that shit seriously, are you? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Do you like the color blue? No, we don't wear blue. We wear black and white. Oh. What's with the funky fucking square on your head? Oh, it's a thing that helps me communicate with God. Okay. Why do you wear the little paper plate on your head? Well, because that way God can't read my thoughts or whatever. I don't even care. I just think it's hilarious. So, it's like, okay, this is really wild that the entire world is controlled by this little group of teeny hats. I don't understand how that could be possible. Like it's impossible. Like what power do these guys have? Well, I think that the easiest answer to that is when you're willing to do anything, and I mean anything, to be in power, well, you get to be in power. They are the world's blackmailers, and they are willing to do anything necessary. Doesn't matter how disgusting or how crazy, how nuts it sounds. Like, they'll do anything. Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely part of it. What's the other part? Well, they don't do business with anyone else ever. Everything gets drawn to them and stays with them. Oh. So is that why they've been kicked out of 109 countries? Yeah. When you're a Christian and you're told that, to love thy neighbor and to share and to be kind and to love one another and to especially be good to children is the way to get into the kingdom of heaven. And then you run face first into a group of people who are taught that there's really no heaven or hell yet until the real Messiah shows up, not that black magic bastard. But until then, God shows his favor by making you rich in this life. So if God loves you, then you'll be rich. The more physical, material possessions you possess, the more God loves you. That's how you know. That's so if you want to know who the best people in the world are, who were the richest people in the world? Because they're the best people in the world. Okay, but what happens if you put those two groups of people together? You've got one large group of people who believe that being kind and loving and charitable and that is the way to heaven. You've got this other group of people who say, take, 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 keep, and don't share it. Because that's God's way of showing you that he cares about you the most. Eventually, there's going to be an imbalance there that's going to end in bloodshed. Every time. Every time. And that is literally what has happened. Now, has anybody sat the Jewish people down and said, hey, listen, why don't you guys just be a little more chill when it comes to this? Well, who are you talking to? I mean, you talking to the Jews in Hollywood? Because those are some pretty liberal people. Like, they give away a lot of money. They're, they read the part of the Bible where, hey, you leave part of your grapes for those less fortunate than you. And they believe that. So you can't really talk to them about it because, look, when Steven Spielberg got divorced, he walked in and, I'm from Hollywood. I was born and raised there. After the Marine Corps, I went back there and I had access to a lot of people. So I've met a lot of very wealthy people and I've gotten to know some of them and some very wealthy, very famous people. When he got divorced from Amy Irving, he walked in and sat down, and it was the most stunning thing that several of the people in the room, one of which I talked to, said they'd ever seen. Because here's a guy, Steven Spielberg, who's now worth, at this point when he got divorced, $250 million. Okay, this was a long time ago, before he was multi-billion. But he was worth a minimum of $250 million. That's basically what the accountants came up with. He walked in and sat down with his attorneys. And when Amy Irving's attorneys said, what do you think is fair? Steven Spielberg's attorneys said, well, Steven has insisted that we give her half, as per the law. The law in the state of California at the time was 50%. Now, for those of you who don't know, that law is never followed. Extremely wealthy men hide resources. They hire attorneys. The bottom line is this. Your divorce could take years, be drawn out in court, and you'll never get half. If you're a woman, you better get a prenup because you're never getting half. But she got half. And the reason is Steven Spielberg is not one of these ultra-Orthodox Haredi Jews that, thinks that every dollar is extremely important and that you got to suck every dime out of everybody. No, he didn't feel that way at all. And he said, law says 125 million, so we're going to give her 125 million. Is that a problem? Her attorneys were so blown away that they thought initially that there might be some kind of trick, that he might be hiding a bunch of assets or something. But when they realized that, no, he's telling the truth. He's worth 250 and he wants to give her 125. They gladly accepted. Now, the reason I tell you that story is because I grew up around Jews, and a lot of them are really super nice people. They're taught to work hard. They're taught a different way of managing money in a lot of cases. They're taught responsibility. it is a different outlook. It's a different vibe completely, but it's not it's not the vibe that you get from the ultra orthodox Haredis. That's a ugh, that's a really bad vibe that I get. Like a really just a bad. It's just bad. The whole attitude that they have of of superiority and looking down on you like they're the master race. It's like, wait a minute. I thought you guys learned your lesson back in the 30s and 40s about this master race bullshit. Yeah, they did. They learned that they're the master race. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. They are the master race, and you will serve them. Now, is that me making that up just out of thin air? No, actually, I'm watching these rabbis talk about this, and I'm watching what they're saying, and I'm thinking that's really kind of terrifying. Now, see, James, I don't know what that means. No, I won't. Uh, huh. Um, Hi from Dubai. Dubai, my ass. Nobody's texting anything out of Dubai right now. I doubt that very seriously, but nice try. They're indoctrinated to believe that. Well, I mean, look, I grew up in the neighborhood where there was a wire. There's a wire around the neighborhood. Okay. And I grew up knowing that the Jews don't go outside that wire. You're not allowed to go walk outside that wire. What? What the fuck is that? That's so crazy. You can't walk outside that wire. 10,000% here. 10,000%. What? 10,000% interest? Oh yeah, that's usury. And that's the thing is that when you have a small group of people who always seems to consolidate wealth among themselves, not share it, and then act like it's God who gave them permission to enrich themselves at your expense, it seems like that's a bad idea. It seems like people are going to become jealous of you. And jealousy is an ugly thing. Well, the funny part is that we are serving them right now. One of the guys on the other live said he's not serving them, but the reality is that we are serving them in Iran right now. No, jealousy's only part of it. Bottom line is, look, when somebody takes advantage of you, you get angry, and we play by different rules. Until just recently, we weren't allowed as Christians to enter into contracts that were usury. We just didn't do it. Muslims still don't do it to this day. Now, in countries where Muslims and Jews live together, it was very interesting because I noticed that a lot of the Muslims respected how very business savvy the Jews were. Well, that's true. That is true. The bottom line is that this country is not what it was supposed to be. After World War II, it changed. And some would say after World War I, and that's true. I mean, who who benefited from World War One? Well, anyone who believes in the Talmud does obviously believe in some pretty satanic shit, because I've seen what the Talmud says. Now, some of it's very boring. It's very dry. It's just arguments about what to wear, when to wear it, how to behave on certain days, and what religious rights are the more important, and blah blah blah. Some of it talks about the things that you are allowed to do to a girl of 3 years old or younger, because she will still be able to grow her hymen back, and therefore she will still be a virgin even after you're done with her. Now, when I read that, I don't understand, because number one, I don't see how that's even possible, like physically possible at all. Um, it doesn't make sense. So, but number two, the idea that you would put that in a holy book, why would you do that? Like, why would you put that in a holy book? That it's basically the same to a little girl like that as a poke in the eye. Being poked in the eye may hurt temporarily, but it'll heal. And it's the same thing with that. And it's like, I don't understand why you put that in a holy book. It's almost like the Quran, where it says that the Prophet Muhammad was able to have sex with 22 women in one evening because he was so virile. And it's like, what does that have to do with the Lord? What does that have to do with spirituality? Well, just saying, he took a child bride. Aisha was 8 when he married her, but didn't consummate the marriage yet. Didn't want to do anything weird, so he married her at 8 years old, but he didn't consummate the marriage until she was 11. 11? Like, I get it. I know that, like, back in the old days, if a girl was 13, 14 years old, guy was 13, 14 years old, they got married, and they got married and they went and had kids and started their own family and all that shit. And it was because life expectancies were 40 years, 45 years. But 11? That seems nuts, but that's what their book says. So, yeah, back in the day, the life expectancy was the same as it is in some African countries right now. By the way, I saw Hamilton, the sort of black Formula One driver. It's about as black as I am, but he was saying that he hopes that all the colonizers get kicked out of Africa, and that the African nations are taken over again by Africans, and that it would be good for Africa. And I thought, wow, has this kid seen South Africa lately? Because apartheid was terrible. What happened after apartheid is arguably just as bad, because that entire country has become a complete shithole. Like, it is horrible. They're going to get rid of the immigrants. Who said that? Like, if you're talking about Israel, yeah. And when they talk about immigrants, they're talking about Christians. South Africa is still nice. Really? That's a very interesting thing to say. They're getting rid of the immigrants. Actually, they've begun to change their mind again. I don't know if you know this or not, but the neighboring countries already drove all of the white farmers out of their countries, and now they're asking them to come back and offering them free land because after they drove them out, their economies completely collapsed. Apparently, when your country's run by people who actually still believe in witchcraft to this day and have hundreds of thousands of people in stadiums saying things like, kill the white farmer, it's not good for your country. Sad, but true. I know white guys are the problem with everything now, especially in Africa. They've caused every problem because there were no problems in Africa until the white man got there. There was no slave trade, by the way. Clearly, I'm joking. Africans have been taking each other as slaves for thousands and thousands of years. All right, well, let's do this. Let's go to my other TikTok. Let's see if I'm allowed to go live now. I am allowed to go live. Well, this will be a hoot. I'm going to be live on 2 TikTok channels and on YouTube at the same time. Welcome to TikTok. Don't say anything we don't like or we'll shove you into a trash can. It didn't actually say that. I made that part up. But they will. They'll shove you into a trash can. Okay. As far as media-wise. All right, let's do this. I'm going to put this, let's see. I'm going to put this Tic Tac down here. And then I'm going to put this Tic Tac up here. And there. There we go. Now, I got it. Okay. This is all good. I don't have enough for all of my phones and recording devices yet. But you know what? I'm going to fix that. I think I'm going to fix that tomorrow. I'm going to make something that holds all my phones and cameras and whatnot. And that way I can do this like a professional because I am a professional. Whatever that means. Oh, shit. That was real professional, wasn't it? All right, let's see here. I wonder if this would actually work. I'm trying to set something up that is sort of jerry-rigged and don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm trying. Let's put this over here and then set that there and then there. Well, my goodness, I'm on several channels now. This is the only one that will record everything I'm saying for posterity, though. So, again, at very least, they didn't suspend your live for very long. I guess that's something, huh? You know, normally they just suspend it long enough to screw up the flow. Like they'll put me back live an hour or 2 later, which of course is too late, but it's just enough to shut me down and have me go, shit, let me appeal that. And then they go, oh, really? You were quoting CNN and Wikipedia. Oh, well, I guess that's not misinformation. Yeah, right. Sure, it's not. So anyway, okay, so let's talk about silver real quick because that's why you're here, most of you. Silver. Come on, kids, show me what you got here. Okay, don't like that. I don't like that. For God's sake, would you hurry up? Come on, come on. There we go. There we go. Now, let's see. We got a MACD crossover. No, we don't. We almost have what looks like it might be a MACD. crossover. Okay. So that's a moving average, convergence, divergence. So we had a crossover, and now we've got RSI. RSI is fairly high, and it looks like it's weakening. I don't have volume up right now, but I do have. Let's see where we are. Oh shit, that's the wrong little thingy dingy. Thingy dingy, by the way, is actually a technical term for a widget. All right, so my smooth moving average is, got to buy here, looks like it's moving up, but no, I think it's a good time to not have it right now. And the reason I say that is if you've got it, if you own silver, how many bowls you had tonight? I ran out of milk, so I haven't had any bowls. Okay, so if you own silver right now, just chill. It's all good. It's all good. If you're trading silver right now, like a swing trader, I would say, based on what I'm looking at, no, don't buy it right now. And the reason I say don't buy it right now is I'm showing the relative strength index is relatively high. Relative strength is relatively, you see what I did there? It's relatively high. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it moving up. I'd like to see it lower and moving up. It's high and it's flattening out. I did see a buy signal at 84.20, and now we're at 84.40. But I don't like that. I just don't. Wait a minute. Where the fuck is my 200-day moving average? Ooh, it crossed below that, didn't it? My 200-day moving average is right here. I can't be right. That's so flat. I got too many indicators on. Anyway, Cave Creek, Arizona. Interesting place. I know a little bit about Cave Creek. I used to live until just recently, last month. I lived right behind Harold's Saloon. Love Cave Creek, but until I'm ready to buy something a little farther up in Cave Creek, like up on the creek itself, where there's lots of water, not really ready yet. But hi, Evie. Yeah, lived in Cave Creek. I'm in North Phoenix. I mean, Desert Ridge is not exactly Cave Creek anymore, but I'm in Desert Ridge now. But I love Cave Creek, and I do want to end up right on the creek in Cave Creek because there's a huge amount of water running underneath there in an aquifer. And when the shit hits the fan, and it will, and the water gets shut off, and it will, having your own well will be the only way to survive. And it will make you a very popular person. And I like being popular. And I like helping people survive. It's kind of a little bit of a hero complex I have. Well, I will say this, Desert Ridge it's got a lot more stuff going on. No doubt about that. When is silver going to move upward? You want to pay off your mortgage? I'm going to say that. Let me see where the dollar's at. Let me see if the dollar is strengthening. The DXY, the Dixie. down slightly. Look, if they ease rates, then it'll take off again. Will it get to 300? Well, something that nobody's talking about, and you heard it here first because literally nobody's talking about this anywhere in the world. Every one of those cruise missiles that we fire off, every one of those Golden Dome, Iron Dome, fucking Patriot, whatever, they all require a huge amount of silver. Oh, yeah. This war is going to burn through a lot of silver, and we're not recovering any of it. Because when you blow up a missile with 20 ounces of silver in it, that 20 ounces of silver is literally turned to dust. It's not recoverable. So it's going to be a very good war for silver. Now, does that mean that I like the war? No, not at all. I'm not real happy about this. I think that we are sending people to die for a country that has nothing but contempt for us. Absolute, total contempt. They think that we're stupid. They think that we're worthless and weak. And they just want to, as they say, not me, as their rabbis are saying, the Talmudic Jews, they want to enslave me. Now, I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of goofy, but I've been married twice. So I know what slavery feels like. And I'm not sure that I'm okay with that. I don't think I'm down with that. I don't necessarily want to be enslaved. So, when do you see needing your own water well? Well, I hate to say this, guys, but now, like I just moved and fucked this up, but you see this water barrel behind me. This is a 55-gallon. I've got several of these out on the porch and underneath a covered, screened-in room. They have tap water in them. Now, do I like tap water? Well, no, I think that fluoride is absolutely 100% unequivocally done 15 years of research on this. It's poison, period. There are hundreds and hundreds of studies that have been done that show that. So, I'm not saying anything weird. It's not misinformation. It's not my opinion. I'm just quoting. The state of California just was in a huge lawsuit about this. And they showed that not only does fluoridated water hurt you, but it literally slows down and I don't know how to say the R word without getting kicked off, but it actually reverses the IQ of children. That's bad. War is about control. If we leave it, China will grow faster than the U.S. with Iran oil. You believe that, huh? Well, I guess Hank Seth is a better actor than I thought he was. Yep, it's China, China, China. Afghanistan. Got to get the evildoers. Don't forget about Iraq. Don't forget about Iraq. That's right. China needs that oil because they're going to invade us. They're going to put all their guys on freighters. They're going to put them in 40-foot high cube containers. So we're going to think that it's a bunch of fucking Toyotas and rubber ducks coming across in freighters. But it's actually going to be 100 million Chinese soldiers. And they're going to dock somehow all at the same time in San Francisco and Port of LA and Long Beach. Yeah. Oh, Vancouver, Seattle. They don't need to dock in Portland. It'll eat itself. But then we're going to offload the containers. We're going to disperse them all over the country. And then somebody's going to open the containers and outpour, I don't know, make up a number, 7,000 little Chinese men with guns out of each container. Now, how'd they poop while they were in there? Don't worry about that. They pooped in bags. How'd they breathe? In a watertight container? Fuck you. Don't ask stupid questions. And by the way, this is something that I actually had people saying to me during COVID, that the reason that all those freighters were backed up off the coast is because they were all gathering, because they were all Chinese. Colleen, I'm actually joking. I'm fucking with you. No, there's no Trojan horse needed. There are 300,000 illegal immigrants in the United States that are Chinese, that are all young to middle-aged men. They're all fighting-age males. It's almost exclusively fighting-age males that have come across the border from China. They're all over the United States. Sometimes they get detained by the highway patrol or whatever, and they've got, gold bars in their car or guns or whatever. But yeah, the Chinese are absolutely not worried about fighting the United States. They have an army. It's in the United States, and literally they could take out the entire electrical grid of the United States in about 45 minutes. Tops. And when I say tops, I mean 45 minutes tops. They do have drones. That's absolutely true. They have drones in the United States. They also have something that I like to call rifles. Now, I know you're thinking rifles. Where the hell could they get a rifle? In the United States or Canada, since they don't really like pistols up there anymore. Apparently, pistols are only for killing other people. But long guns, well, you can't even shoot a human with a long gun, right? So they only target deer and elk and moose, shit like that. So, but yeah, if you had 10 teams of 3 guys each, what's that? 30 guys? Okay, 30 guys, and each one of those teams had a semi-auto Barrett, like a Barrett. What is it? M107A1. Could you then pump, I don't know, 15 rounds into one of those huge transformers that cost millions of dollars, weigh 800,000 pounds, take 2 years to replace, and take months and months and months just to get from the port to the grid where it's going to be hooked up? Yeah, absolutely. You could have somebody shoot holes in one of those, and then by the time the police show up, they're long gone. This has already happened a couple times in the United States. Test runs for whoever did it. We don't know. We never caught them, but they pumped some 30-06 rounds into one just outside of San Francisco. If they'd been a little bit more determined, they would have been able to take out the grid for half of San Francisco, which may have actually overloaded the other half of the grid. We don't know yet. My point is this: when do you want water? Now. When do you want to live in a big metro area without knowing what to do next? Not right now. And what do you do if you're a woman? By the way, I'm actually making some supplies. I know this sounds crazy, but when you see some of the things that I'm making, these are things that most people, let me put it this way. Most survivalists, most Navy SEALs, most guys that are hardcore survivalists have never thought of. It's never crossed their mind. But when you see what they are, you're going to go, damn, That's actually brilliant. Yeah, it is. I am. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. So I'm working on the book. I'm working on some supplies. Most of the supplies that I'll be bringing you up to speed on are basic things that I don't have anything I can just grab. But bags of rice. If you don't have a few bags of rice, why? Why don't you have a few bags of rice? 20-pound bags of rice. The royal basmati rice. It's not enriched. I found out what enrichment does, by the way. Enriched wheat, enriched grains. What they do is they strip everything off of the actual grain itself, all the nutrients and the husk and everything, and then they spray it with what they think are the nutrients that they need to put back, like folic acid. Now, does that mean that it's actually enriched beyond where it was naturally? No, not even close. It's not even brought back to the baseline where it was before they stripped all the nutrients out of it and bleached it. It's a fucking scam. It's a fucking scam that the United States, the Food and Drug Administration passed this back in the 70s. It's absolutely abhorrent that they would do this to the American people. But if you're eating any kind of enriched flour, enriched rice, enriched grains of any kind, it is literally leading to a hypoglycemic index that's off the fucking chart. Your insulin is spiking for no reason whatsoever. No reason whatsoever. And by the way, they've also found out that eating whole foods, like real food, instead of going to McDonald's, if you're eating processed food, because it's processed, yeah, it's more fattening. No, it doesn't have the nutrients. However, it is easier to digest. And the reason they figured out it's easier to digest is because while you're digesting it, they've noticed that you don't burn as many calories. Well, why don't you burn as many calories? Well, because it's already been processed. It's easier to break down in your gut. Now, are there nutrients and whatnot? No, not at all. So wait, if I eat whole foods, yeah, there's more nutrients, there's more nutrition in it, but it's harder to digest. So you burn more calories. You do digest it. You do pick up all those nutrients. You do get all the benefits of eating actual food. And on top of that, the other benefit is you burn more calories to digest it. So you stay skinnier by eating real food. What the fuck? Really? Yes. That's what the new studies are showing. That's amazing. So what you're saying is we can live to be 80 instead of 79. No, I'm saying more like 100, 110. Do I wear Dior Sauvage cologne? Yes. Well, I mean, it's one of them. That's one of the colognes I wear. Interesting that you picked that out. Hey, if it's good enough for Johnny Depp, right? He's a badass. No, actually, yeah, I'm not one of those guys who wears the same cologne over and over and over and over. Just one, dude. If you go more than one, yeah, don't overspray it. Now, here's the trick. You can spray it in this area, or you can spray it on your arm. But make sure it's like spray painting. Make sure you're going down your arm and rub it together real fast. Now, the reason you do that is so when you go to shake somebody's hand, it's not real strong, you just get a little whiff. So when you meet a girl, because let's face it, what are the odds that when you meet a girl the very first time, you're going to hug her and she's going to smell your neck? Not so good. Quality of life over quantity. No. It's quantity and quality. So not only do I want to live to be 130, but I want to live to be 130 and healthy. And I want to have a heart attack trying to outrun a 35-year-old jealous husband because his wife was eyeballing me in a bar and saying, wow, That guy looks good for any age. Thank you. I appreciate it. I might not have enough money to live to 100. You know what, though? You don't need money. You need to be a good fisherman, though. Look, if you're a good fisherman, what the hell? What's the best beer to drink? Ooh, that's a tough one, man. Anybody who drinks IPA is gay. How long is it going to take me to get kicked off of here for saying that just now? IPA is horrible. Miller Lite, I do drink, and Coors Banquet. Now, Coors Light is like having sex in a canoe. It's fucking near water. So don't drink Coors Light. But Coors in the little fat shorty bottles is really actually very good beer. Hacker Skewer. Oh, you're one of those weird people. I still like my PBR. Do you know that until just recently, I thought that the PBR rodeo was actually sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon? And then when I found out it stood for professional bull riding, I was so disappointed. I was like, man, fuck those guys. I thought it stood for Pabst Blue Ribbon. I was like, yeah, that is an American goddamn rodeo. And they got bull riders. It's a German Pilsner. Oh, so you got to drink it warm? No. No, no, and wait, there's another one. Fuck no. Not going to do it. What do we got over here? When they strip the nutrients, what do they do with the nutrients? Well, that's a very good question. I can tell you what they do with salt. White table salt used to be the same kind of salt as everything else with magnesium, manganese, etc. They strip all of the nutrients out and they put them in multivitamins. And then they sell you the straight, just unnutrient rich sodium. They say it's iodized, so woo, big fucking deal. But they strip everything else out, put it in pills, and then you have to take that extra. Or you can just have good old fashioned sea salt. Now, where you get the sea salt is also kind of important because obviously Mediterranean sea salt used to be awesome. The problem is the Mediterranean's becoming kind of disgusting. So, now I do like Heineken. I do like what's it called? I used to drink it whenever I had a really big business deal. I would get Henry, no, not Henry Weinhardt's. Oh shit. I forget. Anyway, that's how long it's been. Stroh's. That's awesome. Man. Guinness. Now that's something that I think I've had once in my life. If the beer is really strong and bitter, I don't want it. That's why I like Miller Lite. And it's nice that you can drink 27 of them. St. Pauli Girl, pretty good beer. It really is pretty good beer. Little King's Cream Ale. Jesus Christ. How long will this war last? Samuel Adams, thank you. Jesus, Charles, thank you for saving my ass. Yeah, I love Samuel Adams. Now, that is a thick, heavy beer. Drink 6 of those, you're done for the night. You're not even drunk. You're just tired, I think the war is going to last. My guess is it will last until the economy collapses in 2028. That's my guess. And when I say last, it's going to go strong until 2028. And at some point in 2028, that'll be it. It'll be done. The problem is that if you really look carefully at what's going on, we, I mean, we kicked the hornet's nest. And, everybody struts around with their chest puffed out. Oh, America's the baddest ass country in the world. Okay. All right. Let's say that. Let's just say that we are the undisputed kings and queens of war, because clearly we are. Have you guys ever seen a UFC fight? If you've ever watched a cage fight, tomorrow night I think there's going to be a pretty good size one. It's gonna have a couple of old warriors. They're not in their prime, and they're not ever going to fight for the championship again. But they're extremely good at what they do. Charles Oliveira and what's his name? Anyway, he's a Hawaiian cat, and he's tall and skinny, and he's a badass. He's a very, 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 very good striker. One of those two guys is going to win. Now, why do I bring this up? Because they're both going to look like somebody slammed their face into a meat grinder by the end of the night. That's a fact. The next day, and I know this from fighting, the next day, they're going to get out of bed. They're going to get out of bed, and my own example is, I woke up one morning, and I opened my eyes, and I went, "Oh man, that was a hell of a fight." Oh, oh shit! Oh, my fucking wrist is broken. My hand is broken. Oh shit! I gotta go. Why didn't I go to the hospital last night? I knew it was broken. Oh shit! Oh fuck! Both of my wrists are broken. And I'm looking at them, and they're fucking puffed up, and they're black and blue. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I went to sit up, and I was like, oh, God, I'm sore. What the hell is going on? Well, technically, I won that fight hands down. Max Holloway, very good fighter. Well, we don't know how many guys are. I mean, there are a lot of people that are reporting 500 or 600 killed in action so far in Americans. We're not going to know that for a while. I really, really think that based on how much bullshit is going on, the fact that it's a $5,000 fine and 5 years in jail in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, or Israel for showing a video, just making a video and posting it. That's what happens. They don't want anybody to know what's really going on. But based on what I saw about hitting CIA stations, embassies, really, really beating the shit out of a couple of our military bases over in Bahrain, it could be hundreds. It could be hundreds. We don't know yet, and that's the problem. Yeah. That I can tell you this: the damage is done. Dubai, Abu Dhabi, this land of the super rich, who can go to a Muslim nation and still drink and have prostitutes from all around the world come and service them and just have a good old time. It's over. That's it. Oh, believe me, I know. Some of my Marines made their last phone calls, and unfortunately, my daughter was one of the last phone calls one of them made, and said, "Look, I don't know how long I'll be gone, and I don't know where I'm going, but I just wanted to let you know that I wish I'd gotten the chance to spend a little bit more time with you before I left. And I told her what he probably meant was that he probably would have gotten married to her, like a lot of Marines do, so that if he died, somebody could get his death benefits because he's a young guy. And I know he probably figures if I die, I'd like to have somebody benefit from it. So, you know, I've as a Marine myself, I know how these guys think. And she said, it was really odd. It seemed like he wanted to say something to me, but he didn't. And I said, yeah, I know exactly what he's going to say. They've been friends. They've known each other now and been best friends since they were in high school, and they're in their early 20s now, mid 20s. And so war is definitely a blood sacrifice. There's two types of war. There's only two types. There's total war and then there's sacrifice. And this is a sacrificial war. This is not a total war. If it were a total war, it'd be something very different. Total war is where you absolutely destroy your enemy completely and totally with any means possible. We don't have wars like that very often. World War One was a show war for the bankers. It was two of the wealthiest men on earth who happened to be brothers. You've got Max Warburg, who ran the German central bank, and Paul Warburg, who simultaneously ran the Federal Reserve Bank. So the Americans fought the Germans. And the Americans had this Jewish guy in charge of their central bank. And the Germans had a Jewish guy in charge of their central bank. And those two guys that were in opposing nations that fought each other and killed hundreds of thousands of each other's people, those two were actually brothers? Yes. Max Warburg and Paul Warburg. What? Like, how is that not so obvious? Well, because people just don't realize that, like Smedley Butler said, Smedley Butler won not one, but two Medals of Honor. 98% of Medals of Honor are given posthumously to the guys who earned them because they died doing it. So if 98% are given posthumously, how badass a motherfucker do you have to be to get two of them and still be alive? You gotta have giant coconut-sized brass balls, because you have literally run into two situations that you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt were going to get you killed. And you did it to help someone else, to help your men. Yep, that's the absolute bottom line to a Medal of Honor. You must have those things going for you. You must have done it to save others, and you must have been in a situation that was patently obvious. It was absolutely obvious that you could not survive whatever action you were about to take, like throwing yourself on a fucking grenade. That's the kind of thing that gets you a Medal of Honor. This guy got two, became the commandant of the United States Marine Corps, retired, and wrote a book called War is a Racket. And it was exactly what it sounds like. It was an indictment of everything that the Marines had done while he was in, and how they'd done it all for big corporations. This is over 100 years ago, folks. What the fuck? Nothing's changed. Two things that happen when the economy crashes. Well, I mean, when economies crash, it's the greatest consolidation of wealth in the world. You have to understand that when 100 million people become poor overnight, that money doesn't just go to heaven. It doesn't just disappear. What happens is it's moved from a large group of people, a big club, and you're in it, to a very, 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 very small group of people. Now, I've talked about this many times. Right now, there are, and I believe it's right here. I'm going to look. Uh, let's see. There are. Hmm, I don't see it in this one. Um, it's in a different. It's in a different chart. But uh, I've said this many times. 18,500 people control 89% of the wealth of the United States, wealth and assets of the United States. So when you say 18,500 out of 330 million Americans, that's such a tiny amount. I mean, look, 3.3 million would obviously be 1%. 300,000 would be 1/10 of 1%. 30,300 would be 1/100th of 1%. And we're talking about just over half of that number. So basically, 1/200th of a percent of the people in this country right now control 89% of the wealth and assets. They will control more like 95 or 96% when the economy crashes, because they don't they don't watch the economy crash. They make the economy crash. There's there's no question. The first time I heard this, by the way, just to put this in perspective, the first time I heard this, that there was this small group of people with this unmitigated power, and that they were capable of controlling the economy, I thought it was idiotic. It's just stupid. Like, really? They control the whole world? That was 1987 when I first moved back, or 88 when I first moved back to Beverly Hills and started working doing investments. Um, I started doing rare coins as kind of a fun thing. Wanted to, I just loved rare coins. I just thought they were cool, kind of like treasure hunting in a way. Um, but I thought, these crazy people like Ron Paul, who talked about auditing the Federal Reserve and auditing the, whether or not we had any gold at Fort Knox. It's like, who is this nutcase? Now, now that I've been around for, you know, coming up on 40 years doing this, I see that it's true. There are a small group of people who do absolutely control what happens. They know what's going to happen months in advance, sometimes years in advance, and they will consolidate wealth around themselves. They will make an enormous amount of money on this collapse. So the country will get much more poor. It's hard to imagine because right now there've got to be tens of millions of people. Let me take a look and see if it's in here. But the amount of homeless people in the United States, that number is so bullshit. I can't imagine that it's as low as they say. Let's see. 41 million people are receiving food stamps. That I believe. living in poverty. It says here that there are only 800,000 homeless people in the United States. Now, define homeless. If you live in the back of your van, you're homeless. Now, I get it. You're not. You're not homeless. You live in a van. You live in a little mobile home, so to speak. If you live in the back of, if you're surviving and you own a station wagon or a hatchback, and you've managed to figure out a way to survive in your hatchback, well, okay, technically you're not homeless. But that's bullshit. We all know that's bullshit. Go to LA and tell me if you don't see tens of thousands of homeless people. Well, that's just Los Angeles. What about San Diego? What about the beach cities in between? What about San Francisco, Portland, Seattle? There's got to be at least a couple 100,000 people just along the West Coast. Now, what about all over Texas? It's everywhere. What about, look at, of all the places I would not want to be homeless, Phoenix, fucking Arizona, it's almost as bad as Buffalo, New York in the wintertime. But, there are people everywhere homeless here. Everywhere. If I go to the corner after my live stream, I guarantee you I will see homeless people on the corner. It's a nice neighborhood. I live in a nice neighborhood. So do you see them wandering up and down the streets in the actual neighborhood itself? No. But if I went a few miles that way, would I? Yep, sure would. Sure would. It's going to get a lot worse. That's one thing. And the rich are going to get a lot richer. That's another. We will be put on, there will be a basic, universal basic income. And it's going to be as dystopian as it sounds. Because in order to get your universal basic income, you're going to have to abide by all of the laws. And people don't realize that I'll look it up afterwards, but I believe I read that this new year or in the last year, they had passed 4,500 new laws in the United States. 4,500 new laws. What the fuck are they? Well, just laws, lots of them, tons and tons and tons of them. Let's ask Google. How many new laws per year? U.S. Well, let's see, approximately 5,000 to 10,000 bills are introduced annually. Only 150 to 200 get passed. Okay, so that's federal. Let's see. State legislatures are more prolific. For context, federal agencies issued over 3,200 new rules and regulations. By the way, what's a rule or a regulation if it's passed by the government and it's backed up with the threat of imprisonment? Wouldn't that be a law? So like I said, thousands. So 3,200 new rules and regulations in 2024 alone. 3,200. So you're breaking a law every day. Every day. Is Congress even trying? Question mark. 3,248 new rules versus 175 laws. Well, I'll be dag nabbed. There's just so much shit here. And again, like who's passing these? Lots of people. Well, what do they mean? Lots of stuff. There are, you guys ready for this? You guys ready for this? Here we go. Government track.us. This is our government. There are 13,969 bills and resolutions currently before the United States Congress. 13,969. Do you think we're overregulated? Just a wee bit. Just a teeny bit. 13,969 pieces of legislation. You're breaking the law every day and you don't even know how. The interesting part is that once they have a universal basic income after the economy crashes, they'll be able to track everything that you do financially, every single thing that you do. And because they're building all these data centers, these big, beautiful data centers all over, big, beautiful data centers. They're beautiful, right? They're so beautiful. Guess what they are? They're the computing power necessary to track every single thing that you do every day. It should hit 150 by probably July, maybe August. That's exactly why you have silver. Because if you don't have silver, you're not buying anything that the government doesn't approve of ever again. Period. That's just the way it's going to work, folks. I hate to say it, but the more dystopian the idea, the more accurate it probably is at this point. And that's really sad because I had high hopes. It's like China and it's going to get worse. Well, that's the thing. Everything in your wallet, everything that you use, your debit cards, etc., they have that information. They just don't process it unless they have a reason to. They don't have a info packet on you specifically yet. If you give them a reason to, like I have, then yes, you're a potential domestic terrorist, and therefore they have all of your information. I've done everything possible. I'm a veteran. That puts you at the top of the list for domestic terrorists. I have a Gadsden flag tattooed on my arm that says, "Don't tread on me." That is a domestic terrorism symbol now. It's true. The FBI admitted to that. They have a secret list of things that make you a domestic terrorist, potentially, and that's one of them. What else? I'm in the silver business. If you're in the silver and gold business, that puts you on the list. And I have more than 90-day food supply at my house. And if you have more than a 90-day food supply at your house, that automatically makes you a potential domestic terrorist. Now, how do they know I have more than a 90-day supply? Well, in this case, because I tell people. But they would know anyway. I mean, how much can a single guy buy in the way of, beans and rice, lentils, etc.? I mean, I can only eat so much, right? So, yeah, that's unfortunately the way that it's going to be. And the economy will crash. The war helps, obviously. We can ask people to tighten up their belt for the sake of Israel. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So, silver is the way to go. If you don't have at least a couple hundred ounces, I mean, please have at least a couple hundred ounces. If you got a bass boat, great. You don't need a bass boat. You can fish out of a John boat. You can fish off a pier. But if you don't have silver, it's going to get very interesting for people in the next couple of years. And this is if the grid doesn't collapse. I don't know what Iran's thoughts are. My guess is that they're not stupid. This is not a total war. This is not total combat. If it were, they would have already destroyed all of Saudi Arabia's refineries. Because by doing that, you cripple all of the Sunni Muslims. You cripple the economy, absolutely decimate it. And they could do that in one day. In one day, they could completely destroy the Middle East for decades. They're not doing that, which means they're also not going to bomb us, which means that when we do get bombed and something blows up, of course they could at any moment. At any moment, they could launch a cyber attack, but they choose not to. What they want is they want this to go on for a while. They want this to remain a conventional war where they go through their munitions one level at a time, each becoming more and more and more painful to Israel. And this time, the only way that they stop is when Israel says, enough, we'll never attack you again under any circumstances. That won't happen. Israel is dead set on destroying the Middle East and everyone in it so that they can control it. That's their goal. Greater Israel is not a concept. It's a plan. If it weren't a plan, why would they have Greater Israel patches on all of their IDF uniforms? The outline of Israel on all of their patches, it's not Israel the way it looks today, folks. Look at the fucking patch. It is a huge area. And that patch, that area, that's after they take over part of Egypt, part of Saudi Arabia, all of Lebanon, all of Jordan, half of Syria, and half of Iraq. That's what that patch shows. I can't believe they would censor that. I wouldn't want to be on a military base in Bahrain. That's a fact. Now, I will say this also. It looks to me as though all of China's shipping will get through the Hormuz. We'll get through the Hormuz Strait untouched. They're not going to touch any of it. They will use nukes. Well, that's the thing is if they want to use nukes, go ahead, use the nukes. But just understand when you use those nukes, it's mask off. Do I think it'll save my soul? No, but I think it'll save my son. So, in a way, if they use nukes, then it'll at least show what they are. It'll at least show that they are the completely insane, genocidal, absolutely amoral creatures that Christ described them as. And look, let's face it, the Jews that are not Haredi Jews, that are not ultra Orthodox, they're going to get the fuck out of Dodge. They're just leaving. They're dual citizens, all of them. They're not going to stick around for this bullshit. As soon as they can catch a plane, they're out of there. Unless, of course, Netanyahu passes a law that makes them stay, and that does not look good at all. That looks like you're losing the war. So if he lets Jews that aren't interested in this bullshit go home, he loses half the country right away. They're just going to leave. Because you got to remember that Judaism is a religion. Israel is a place. And the Haredis can get their bullshit up about, oh, well, you got to be here to be a real Jew. You got to build a third temple. You know, we haven't been able to sacrifice anybody to God since the temple was blah, blah, whatever. I don't want to hear your bullshit. Bottom line is the temple was destroyed just like Jesus said it would be because you didn't do what God wanted. And then you killed Jesus because you didn't like what he had to say. Okay, we're not friends. Well, why doesn't who prosecute Netanyahu? You have to understand he's a wanted man in most of Europe and in other parts of the world. There are warrants out for his arrest. Yeah, for genocide. Well, the thing is, if you can't trace your lineage, then that means that you're a Jew by religion. Okay. Well, I'm Catholic because my mom had me, bathed when I was a few months old. Does that mean I have a right to go live at the Vatican? No. No, it's a religion. I don't have to be in a certain spot to worship my religion, and neither do Jews. This is just what they want. I want a state. Well, why do you want your own state? So I can go live there with other Jews. Okay. But why? Why is that so important to you? Because God said. What? No, actually, that's not true. God said your temple was going to get torn down. Oh, that's right. You don't think that Christ was speaking for God. You think he was a bastard who practiced black magic and he's burning in a lake of shit right now. As a matter of fact, you killed him. All right, well, that's not my opinion. That's not misinformation. That's what the Bible says. Okay, so what? Should we go to war with the Jews? No, because Christ also told us to love our neighbor. Okay. Does that mean we have to go to war for them? No. So what do we do with the Jews? Nothing. Leave them alone. If you don't like their attitude, if you don't like what they're saying, leave them alone. Let's go away. But what if they try to make your country do their bidding for them? Tell them, fuck off. No, not going to go to war for you. Not your slave. Oh, that's right. Your book says I am your slave. Oh, shit, that's right. Okay, well, I'm not, so good luck with that. That's it. That's all we have to do. But unfortunately, I think that Operation Epstein Fury is exactly that. It's Operation Epstein Fury because Epstein knows a thing or two about a couple of people in Washington. And the reason that those files have not come out, in spite of the fact that Congress passed a law that said they have to be released, and the DOJ is clearly in violation of the law. The Department of Justice is violating the law. Well, if the law doesn't mean anything to the DOJ, why should it mean anything to me? Why should I have to follow the law? They don't follow the law. Does that mean I don't have to follow the law? We don't have to follow the law anymore, guys. Laws don't mean anything in the United States. Ask the DOJ. They'll tell you. Nope. Laws are a suggestion. You don't have to follow them if you don't like them. That's clearly what they're saying. They're ignoring the law. All right. Well, cool. All right. They should be arrested and tried publicly. Pam Bondi will have to answer to Congress, and she'll make up some bullshit. like Kristi Noem did, but Kristi Noem just went way too far. Way too far. What do I know about the Scofield Bible? Well, it was written by an idiot who was paid by the Rothschild family. And the Rothschild family said, hey, do me a favor. Make the Bible say that without the Jews, you guys don't get to go to heaven. Figure out how to mix that in there somewhere so that from now on, Christians believe that even though we killed Jesus and we said that Jesus is burning in a lake of shit and we hate you fuckers, we just can't stand you people. Even though we said all that, do us a favor. Make it so that you guys need us. Like, really need us desperately. Like, you can't live without us. You definitely can't go to heaven without us. What? How do you want me to fit that into the Bible? Here's millions of dollars. Oh, okay. I heard Epstein's alive in Israel. That would not surprise me at all. Not at all. Look, when was the last time that one guy needed to be taken to the morgue in 2 ambulances? One to divert people, the other to get away clean. What's that about? Get away clean? You got a dead body in there. Who gives a fuck? Oh, because the paparazzi are going to follow you. Okay, so what? They follow you. But then they might get a picture. No, they won't. You're going to pull into the basement of the hospital where there are no cameras. Yeah, but what about the other thing? It's total bullshit. You need 2 ambulances for one body. Okay. Well, then, okay, let's say he's Epstein. Do the autopsy. Okay. We did the autopsy. Okay. How do you look when you autopsied him? Well, unremarkable. There's nothing really remarkable about him. It literally says that his testes were unremarkable. That would hurt my feelings. But yeah, his prostate was normal. His prostate was normal. Wait, he doesn't have a prostate. Jeffrey Epstein had his prostate gland removed. There are emails that talk about it, and he verifies it himself. And he orders medication because he needs the medication because he had his prostate removed. And yet, when they gave him an autopsy, he had a prostate? I'm no physician, but you only get one fucking prostate, guys. Like, you only get one, and it doesn't grow back. It's not like your liver where if you cut half of it out for cirrhosis, it grows back eventually. No, it doesn't do that. There's no such thing as a prostate transplant. They can't just stick a new prostate up your ass. So, where do you get the fucking prostate? Unless, of course, it just wasn't Jeffrey Epstein that they autopsied. Oh, well, that would be interesting. If it wasn't Jeffrey Epstein, that would explain why you needed 2 ambulances to get away from the hospital or from the jail. Oh, I definitely think Ghislaine Maxwell is free. Why isn't the Congress holding the DOJ accountable for releasing the files? Because, Doug, blackmail only works when it's still blackmail. Once it's evidence, it's worthless. Let's say that you've got pictures of me in bed with a bunch of 12-year-old boys. Okay, that would be pretty damning if I were a state senator. Well, if I'm anybody, but especially if you're a state senator and you're a devout Christian who's very anti-gay. And then there's this, and that happens all the time, by the way. Foley's a good example of that. But, all of a sudden there's this evidence and I come to you and I'm like, God, I really, the good news is I caught this before it was released. Nobody saw these photos. And I want to keep it that way. So, but I need something from you. I just need your help with this. Look, these guys who have this shit, they're not fucking around. They're not joking. They will release it. They have nothing to lose. But I've got some leverage with them. I found a little bit of a leverage point myself, a little pressure point. And I told them, look, guys, what if we could get this done for you? What if? And they said, well, if you could make sure that that got passed, or that this got handled, or that case got dropped, then we would have no reason to want these photographs in the public eye. So what do you say? Should we play ball with them? I mean, I think you're a great senator, and I don't want to see your career over, So what do you think? What are you going to say? No, fuck it. I want my career over with. I shouldn't have been in bed with those little boys, and I want to get busted now. I want my wife to leave me, and I want my kids to look at me like I'm a fucking alien. I want people to laugh at me and spit on me and call me a fucking pervert. No, that's not what you're going to say. You're going to say, okay, let me grab a pen. What's the case number you want dismissed? And you're going to start calling in favors. That's what you're going to do. And that's what these people rely on. Now, is that the most disgusting way you can possibly think of to get shit done? Yeah, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Is that the way you're supposed to do business? No. Is that the way that AIPAC, etc., does business? You bet your ass. You better fucking believe it. You better believe it. Meyer Lansky, he owned the FBI. He owned the FBI. J. Edgar Hoover, a picture of him on his knees in front of his bodyguard, taken from a secret hiding place inside his favorite hotel room. Big mistake there, Hoover. You don't go to the same motel room twice, apparently. At least not if the Jewish mafia or the Jewish mob know about you. Because they're going to set up a camera. They're going to take a picture, and then they're going to show you that picture and go, look, I don't think there are any copies of this picture. Pretty sure. Well, I mean, there's one. I know that there's one. But I want you to have this one. You're going to sit there for the rest of the day looking at that picture and thinking to yourself, holy shit, my life is over. Then maybe you get a phone call with Lansky, one of his people, and they say, hey, you know what? We'd like to talk to you about that. Okay. Now, what happens if that photograph ever comes out? Your career's over, right? But think about this, guys. What happens to Meyer Lansky? He's got no leverage anymore. Your career's over. Your life's destroyed. You're fucking done. You got nothing to lose now. And what's the most dangerous thing on earth? Someone with nothing to lose. So, blackmail only works if it stays black. And that's why the Epstein files are not being released. Well, they released enough. There's some collateral damage. There's some guys in there that might have said some things that were kind of interesting, kind of weird, kind of, I don't know about this. So what does it mean by she put on the Snow White costume and got F twice right away? Okay, Snow White costume. Okay, some people are into that kind of shit. You have your wife dress up as Snow White. It's a cute outfit. If it makes your 40-year-old wife look a little hotter, go for it. But is that what they meant? I don't know. Did it say in the email that 14-year-old put this on, blah, blah? No, it didn't say that. Now, do some of them allude to that? Yes, they sure do. Okay. Are there things in the Epstein files that are disgusting? Well, apparently, some of the stuff that's been released is. Okay. Makes you wonder what's not been released, though. Like, how bad is that? They just deleted. Now, I know the law said release. They just deleted 65,000 pages of the Epstein files. The Department of Justice just deleted 65,000. They were supposed to release those, but they deleted them instead. Like, how is that an accident? That's not an accident. It can't be an accident. Pam Bondi knows. She knows. She's been called on the carpet. She's been read the riot act. She knows. And after that, after she was told, we're going to eat your fucking lunch for you if you don't do what we said, she goes, okay, no problem. Fuck you. I'm not releasing them. And oh, by the way, delete these 65,000. Kash Patel shows up at FBI headquarters at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:45 a.m., 2:42 to be exact, I believe it is. Does a master override on some of the files and erases them? Master override. Only the director can do that. Yep. He put in all of his, he had to go through 5 levels saying, are you sure you want to delete these? This deletion will be forever. Are you sure you want to delete it? This is irreversible. We're going to delete it now if you agree. Yes? Okay. And then it finally deleted the files. Wow. From AJ instead of Mesa. Okay, you're moving. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with the cannibalism part. I mean, to me, it was just so unbelievable. It was just so completely insane that I thought it can't be right. Like there can't be cannibals, really? Cannibals? I know that in the old days there were people who, when they beat their enemy in combat, they would actually eat their brain. And that was their way of showing that not only am I killing you, but I'm actually consuming your soul. Weird. But whatever. It's old-fashioned weird shit from a million years ago. But apparently it still happens. Well, what the fuck? Who knew? You know, it's like, this is so strange, man. It's all just so weird. But again, these are the times that we live in. So obviously I'm writing a book. Tomorrow will be a very, very big day for it because I'm going to spend almost the entire day tightening up aspects of it. Cannibalism, really. Do I think that they'll all walk? Yeah. YouTube channel, Big and Corn Fed. Big and Corn Fed. So, yeah, they're going to walk. Because look, what good is a dead slave? Right? What good is somebody who you have leverage on once they're outed? Their life's destroyed. You have no leverage. they're not in the position they were in. As long as you know something and they know that you know, and they know that you could drop that info and destroy them at any moment, they will be your slave. Literally, you own them. You control every aspect of their life. If you said, look, I've got pictures of you doing this horrific thing. I want you to go slap your wife. What? No, are you kidding? That's against the law. Yeah, so is what I've got pictures of you doing. Now go home and slap your wife, or else. You're going to go home and slap your wife. Now, you may try to cover it up. You may try to say it was just a joke, or you thought that it would turn her on. Somebody told you that some women get fired up about shit like that, and it gets them all happy and horny. And you're sorry, but you wanted to try it. And maybe she won't call the cops. Maybe she'll just hold it over your head. She'll take a couple pictures of her bruised face and call it a day and tell her friends she fell down. But you're going to slap her so that you don't have to go explain yourself and those pictures. Yeah, there's some very weird control shit going on. Bottom line is, this country made it 250 years, and it is now coming apart at the seams. I would ask all of you to go online tonight and just read the first 2 pages of the book Common Sense by Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine wrote a book that's only 47 pages long, and it literally started the revolution. It started the revolution, just 47 pages, because that's how fucking awesome it is. So read that. And then maybe even read just the first couple paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you guys with this. Very, very quick. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem the most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves and abolish the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. does this government actually really represent you and what you need and what you want? Does it seem like the powers that be are trying to make you happy? That's my question to you guys. Do you think that they are even trying anymore? I don't think they are. I don't think they care at all. And that bothers me.